Hello, my name is Carnellia Ajasin, and I'm the founder and CEO of Katalyst. And I'm coming to you today with a presentation on the Purposeful Innovator. Thank you. I come to you today with an invitation to become more purposeful in the work that we do and the products that we create. Imagine the difference that we could make if we solved real problems that bring about real meaningful transformation into lives of those who we serve in terms of our clients, making our products more human-centered, humanity-centered, and purpose-driven. That's what it means to be part of a tribe of purposeful innovators and inventors. Together, let's create the kind of future that we want for the next generation and beyond. Let's create this world with unapologetic transparency and a sense of compassion for the world that we require, more creative thinkers than ever before in our lifetime. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are located or whenever you're seeing this. My name is Carnellia Ajasin, and I'm the founder of Katalyst, a technology innovation venture studio where we help ambitious organizations and founders leverage emerging technologies in the creation of tech-enabled, meaningful products that improve lives. I'm on a mission to build a purposeful community of conscious innovators and inventors, solving some of the world's most pressing challenges through the medium of human-centered, humanistic, or humanity-related technology with intention and purpose. If you're like me, you've worked for companies that really enhanced your career and also helped enhance your resume. However, in many cases, it turned out that one of the companies that I was working for did more harm than good. Let me tell you a little bit about this story. I was building my resume in IT management consulting. I loved the work that I did. Also, I was assigned to a highly visible pre-sales IT strategy project that really became overwhelming, and it left me feeling really like it was an ethical and moral dilemma for me, or burden. I was working for this global reputable company whose name at that time was in all the major news outlets, airing congressional hearings of testimonials after testimonials that left many of us shocked. Allegedly, this particular company had intentionally increased the amount of nicotine in their tobacco products to make the products more addicting. To add insult to injury, I also became aware that my Aunt Bertha, a longtime smoker, was also a victim of this company's worst practices. That company's name was Philip Morris. It didn't suit me or sit well with me knowing this information, even if it was alleged. But even just going into their office every day and hearing all the news about, what was going on, my purpose, my personal compass, my sense of values, was really questioned at that moment, or I was questioning it for myself. Working on the implementation strategy for their software, I felt like I was contributing to the overall practice of their, of their malpractices that was being also accused, that they were being accused of. This situation became a turning point for me on a personal level as well as a professional level. I decided that I wanted to make more conscious choices about the type of work that I involved myself with. I was more interested in working with and for companies that really allowed me to do the work that was more meaningful and that did no harm. And so subsequently, I asked my higher ups to reassign me to another project and to remove me from the Philip Morris project. And subsequently, that's what happened. But the whole notion around this dilemma had me questioning and my value systems, how I wanted to work going forward, and also how I wanted to be more purposeful in the type of work that I actually did. And it actually helped me to develop a framework that we'll be talking about today. I've come to you today with good news. And the good news is that, well, quite frankly, we're all good news, right? Or at least we have the potential of being so. So we all have free will to decide how we're going to show up each and every day. The purpose and the meaning that we have can be, in fact, used to propel success. I believe in that so strongly that I formed my technology company to help innovators and inventors who share those values. Those of you who are in this space, who share the values of being more purposeful and more intentional about the work that we do, is what I'm calling this tribe of thought leaders around this space. Those who have, thought through or have a sense of optimism or a sense of, what type of impact am I going to be, going to be making in the work that I do and the products that I put out. And so, in that, we're going to talk about my framework in terms of how that can actually come about. The first step in the phase of the framework is the strategy phase. On the journey as a purposeful innovator is the strategy phase, and it's important. It's an important step for creating meaning around purposeful driven types of projects or products. This helps with validating and refining the ideas that you have for the product, making sure that the right solution for the problem that you're solving for is in fact strategized. Every decision that comes next will be focused on just that, taking away or easing that sense of stress in the experience of your users. Let's take a look at one of the innovators that, that's really near and dear to my heart. This innovator took and defined a problem with an IoT solution, an Internet of Things solution, and why many of the parents of newborns and preemies will forever be grateful.
The all-new Smart Sock is for every baby. For tracking every heartbeat and for every breath she takes. This Smart Sock is for every nap, for every good night's rest, for every is she okay moment, for every night shift. This Smart Sock is for you, for when your hands are full, for a peaceful moment to yourself, for the opportunity to connect with your older kids. This Smart Sock is for monitoring what matters for when it matters most. This Smart Sock has helped over 1 million parents keep their babies safe. It's for every baby and for every parent. Introducing the completely redesigned Owlet Smart Sock.
When Kurt Workman and his wife decided to have children, Kurt was concerned and his fears went well beyond many of the average future fathers. As an infant, Kurt's wife almost died of a heart condition that their future children could possibly inherit. When her mother, guided by intuition, checked on her daughter in the crib, the baby ended up being rushed to the hospital for open heart surgery. Kurt also watched as his aunt, after the birth of her twins, stayed up exhausted to keep a careful eye on her newborn twins, who were also preemies. Kurt is a great example of what it means to be a purposeful innovator. It's a call to action, or it's a call to think strategically and to build products with a sense of empathy. The innovators behind the Owlet Sock are members of the tribe.
The all-new
Forward thinkers or forward-thinking leaders tend to look at products in a broader sense, starting with the problem and impact solution. If you want to make a bigger impact and take your place with us and the forefront of just what's needed in the world, you can't get there playing small. You can't get there alone. And it really takes you being a visionary and thinking about thinking about the vision and the more sustainability way? And then also, how can that product bring about profound impact? Then welcome in the ideas around, purposeful innovation, sustainability, impact, meaning, purpose, and there you go. You are a member of the Purposeful Innovator tribe. What sets our tribe apart in this human needs economy, human needs aspect of how we're living today, is habits and experiences that are used to shape the direction of the design of each phase of the product process. As technology advances and you and I are living in the most challenging yet historical times than ever before, artificial intelligence, for example, can be real time, a real game changer. And there are many ways to do what we're doing faster. But this kind of innovation can also result in a greater distance between business leaders and the public as that they serve. Those in the tech space, for that reason, are making more concerted efforts in terms of being more mindful of their users' experiences going forward, and also looking at how companies can coexist with the the impact that users are experiencing, and also the impact that their business and products are making in also society. The roadmap area. That's another segment of the process here that we're going to talk about. Let's continue our look at the journey towards impactful products. With human-centered focus on and strategy in place, which we just talked about, the next part of the Purposeful Innovator framework is the roadmap. This is where we define the features that will best serve your users' needs. Old solutions are no longer the best way to serve a modern user-based products. Users nowadays they have higher standards, they have a lot of preferences and habits that are constantly evolving. And so we need to be innovative about how those customers can engage with products that are going to be relevant to them and their needs. To illustrate that point, let's look at another product that is near and dear to my heart, and it's called Wobot. It's an artificial intelligent robot that talks to patients, talks them through cognitive behavioral therapy, and tracks how they feel on a day-to-day basis through chats as well as emojis. Wobot is particularly timely given the pivot to telehealth, where patients are limited to physically seeing therapists due to issues around COVID and mobility. And then also as well as relating to lockdowns. It's a product for today's world where anxiety and depression, as well as suicide, you have it, are rampant, and also it alleviates the traditional means of seeking help from outside sources like therapists. Wobot attempts to democratize access to mental health anywhere, anytime, and within budget. And also, it also allows us to, uh, you know, bypass some of these limitations during this pandemic that we're in.
So my name is Masha Detoy. I'm a writer. I write science fiction and fantasy. And I also teach online. I teach graphic design. And I live here in Cape Town in South Africa. For the first part of the lockdown, it was just being here with my husband, who's a school teacher. So we were here together, and it was scary, but special as well. But then he had to go back to work. And that was very hard. I mean, obviously very hard for him, but also very hard for me because it's dangerous in terms of exposure to infection. I've always been an anxious person. And of course, the pandemic frightened me, but the fact that my husband, who I love so much, is in danger, it was just so difficult for me to process this. All the uncertainty, I didn't know how to manage. So before I even considered seeing a therapist, I was kind of desperate for help. And one of the things I came across, I actually heard about it in a podcast, was the Wobot app. It's also just so accessible. It's on your phone. It's very light, it's kind of fun. And I really enjoyed interacting with this little app. Wherbot teaches you some basic principles of cognitive behavioral therapy, challenging your thoughts and all of those sorts of things. I've come a long way. I still struggle every day, but I've learned a lot about how to cope. So little bit by bit, I've been I realized that often what I'm anxious about is actually a hint at what I have to face. The anxiety wants me to turn away from it, but the opposite is true. So it's not easy. I'm an atheist, but I have felt this deep need to thank something, or just to say thank you, to be grateful for just even the simple moment when I'm not feeling anxious, when I'm sitting there next to my husband in the sun and we're both quiet and things are okay right now. And it's just bliss.
Now, in addition to maintaining a thinking mindset, it's also important at this phase to match the features of the product to real human needs, just as exemplified in Robot. Take the time to consider the subtle differences in how various consumers might choose to interact with your product or your service. This is why it took some time to develop Robot and to really, get the AI correct. The tool offered to each, um, it offers to each of these users the response to different various types of questions that a patient might have for any therapist. And of course, those will vary widely based on the nuances of, you know, you know, personal issues that people are dealing with. And so designers had to really take those things into account. However, iterative trials before the public or using with the public or before the public launch helped each of the members of the product team and the strategists and UX UI designers to develop and turn out a robot to be a really good mental health helper to people in society today. Continuing with our our journey here to impactful products, with a human-centered focus on strategy in place, a roadmap, defining the goals and the features that will best serve the needs of your users. Although these needs and details are pretty set along the process, it's also important to understand the users and their anticipated experience from the product. Users today are more savvy and discerning than ever before, and expect products that will make them, make things better for them and help them make more informed decisions. When news broke about the contaminated water in Flint, Michigan, and that there were some issues around that same type of water, causing some cancer, chemicals to be injected in the water system. Um, when I was listening to watching CNN or watching the news that day, I was mortified, as I'm sure many of you have been as well. And yes, it made me really think about the fact that, the water that I'm drinking or sharing with my family, cooking with, bathing with, how safe is that water? And so here we're introducing a company called Aquagenuity. Aquagenuity uses big data, artificial intelligence, and preventive analytics to empower everyday people to test the quality of their drinking water.
Imagine a world without water, a world where you turn on your tap and nothing happens. And we're within 10 years of that. But there are actually 3,810 locations in the United States with more lead in their water than Flint, Michigan. So I set out to democratize water quality data. Entrepreneurship to me is 21st century activism. Right? What do you do when the march is over? if you're in the street after everybody has gone home, the cameras have left. What's left is the businesses that we build, it's the jobs that we create, it's the legacy that we leave. And if more people that look like me get access to resources, we're going to solve problems that other people might not solve. And I believe that's how we change the world. Water is something that affects all of us. But imagine a world without.
With the roadmap set, we take our clients to the finish line with the last phase of our framework, which we're calling, of course, execution. Things are starting to get real now with the building of the prototype and, yes, your product launch. If you have a great idea that won't let you sleep at night, doesn't that idea deserve to have its place in the world? Doesn't the people who need to use this product to better their lives deserve the opportunity to do so? Without execution, an idea is just a dream. So let's take this idea and move it forward to bring it out into the world. Let's realize this idea. With every phase, the most successful innovators understand that pivoting is part of the process, the overall process, and flexibility is key. And so we want to make sure that we are moving ideas forward and making sure that we're bringing out the ideas that make sense for our users. We want to make sure that the services and products that we produce are sustainable, user-friendly, and also serve a higher purpose. Now is the time to join the Purposeful Innovator movement to build a better future. Please join me. Thank you for your time.